Ferrari has always been different. You can't just walk into a dealership and buy one, even if you're a millionaire. There are wait lists, background checks, strict rules about what you can do with the car after you buy it. For decades, that's what made Ferrari special. The exclusivity, the scarcity, the mystique. But that's changing. A new CEO came in with a plan to modernize Ferrari and grow sales. And it's working. They're selling more cars than ever before. The problem? Customers are starting to lose interest. Ferrari values are dropping, and the brand that was once untouchable is facing an identity crisis. So what happened? Let me break it down. The Ferrari business model. First, you need to understand how Ferrari traditionally operated, because it's completely backwards from normal business logic. Most companies that sell $300,000 products would want to sell as many as possible, right? Scale production, meet demand, maximize revenue. Ferrari did the opposite. Their former chairman famously said Ferrari would always sell one less car than the market demands. They deliberately kept production low even though they could sell way more. In 2015, Ferrari shipped exactly 7,664 cars globally. That's it, on purpose. And it wasn't just about limiting numbers. They created this whole gatekeeping system around who could even buy a Ferrari. You couldn't just show up with money. They'd run background checks to see how you treated previous cars. You'd pay a deposit and wait, sometimes months for standard models, sometimes years for limited editions. Even if you already owned a Ferrari, getting on the VIP list for special models was nearly impossible. The insane rules. Once you finally got permission to buy a Ferrari, the rules kicked in. You couldn't sell your new Ferrari for months or even up to 2 years. If you customized it in ways Ferrari didn't approve of, or if you sold it too early, you could get banned from ever buying another one. And Ferrari didn't care who you were. They reportedly blacklisted celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Justin Bieber for breaking these rules. So why all these ridiculous restrictions? Artificial scarcity and protecting brand value. By tightly controlling production and who could buy, Ferrari guaranteed that every car leaving the factory was instantly valuable. Unlike most luxury cars that lose half their value the moment you drive them off the lot, Ferraris held their price or even went up. This did two massive things for the brand. First, it protected owners. People weren't just buying a car, they were buying an asset that held value. That trust kept them coming back. Second, it built the myth. By making Ferraris hard to get, they created this feeling that only special people deserve one. The exclusivity itself became part of the appeal. And by preventing early resales and controlling customization, they stabilized the secondary market and protected resale values. It was genius, and it worked for decades. Then, in June 2021, Ferrari appointed a new CEO named Benedetto Vigna. And Vigna wasn't a traditional car guy. He came from the microchip industry. His mandate was clear: modernize Ferrari and accelerate revenue growth. Vigna thought Ferrari was falling behind. Too slow, too bureaucratic, leaving billions on the table by sticking to the old scarcity model. His plan: offer more types of Ferraris to capture new customer segments. The old philosophy of only making two-door sports cars was outdated. To grow, Ferrari needed to tap into the most lucrative car market: SUVs. The Ferrari SUV. That's right, Ferrari made an SUV called the Puro Sangue. Ferrari insists it's not an SUV, but come on, it was designed to compete with luxury utility vehicles. The SUV segment is massive. It's what high-income families buy. Every other luxury brand, Porsche, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, already had one. Vigna believed Ferrari was missing out. But that was just the beginning. Vigna also expanded the lineup with more models, like Grand Tourers, cars designed for comfortable long-distance driving, not just racing. Ferrari was clearly broadening its appeal beyond hardcore enthusiasts. To protect the illusion of scarcity, they said the Puro Sangue would be capped at only 20% of production, but the message was clear. Ferrari was shifting from one less car to more models for more people. The electric push. But Vigna had an even bigger plan. He wanted Ferrari to go electric. In 2022, Ferrari announced aggressive targets. By 2026, 60% hybrid and full electric, only 40% gas engines. By 2030, only 20% gas engines with 40% hybrid and 40% full electric. This was huge. Ferrari was the classic race car brand, the luxury sports car you could hear from miles away. That sound was part of the identity. Only 20% gas engines by 2030 seemed almost unimaginable for purists. And here's the weird part. At the time of this announcement, Ferrari had 0 fully electric models on sale. They were betting their brand power was strong enough to carry them through this massive shift. The growth period. For a while, everything looked great on paper. Ferrari's shipments climbed dramatically. 2015, 7,664. 2019, over 10,000 for the first time. 2023, record 13,663 shipments. Revenue soared. Earnings went up. Stock price climbed. Vigna was delivering on his promise of financial growth. But underneath, problems were brewing. The cracks start showing. In 2025, Ferrari finally released their first EV, the Ferrari Elettrica. Then something unexpected happened. Ferrari had to cut their EV targets from 40% to 20% by 2030. Why? Weak demand. For the first time, people weren't buying Ferraris, at least not electric ones. They also delayed their second EV model to at least 2028. The stock immediately dropped 16%, wiping out $13.5 billion in market value. Investors started getting concerned. How many Ferraris could Vigna actually sell before the brand started feeling too common? The value problem. Here's where it gets really bad. With more Ferraris on the road than ever before, the secondary market started suffering. Ferraris began depreciating faster than they used to. Even the puro sangue, the so-called game changer, is already losing value. Remember, the whole point of owning a Ferrari was that it held its value or went up. If that's not true anymore, why pay the premium? The customer reaction. The most telling sign is how customers are reacting to new models. A decade ago, when Ferrari offered the LaFerrari, the ultra-rich fought to get on the invitation list. It was the ultimate Ferrari. In 2024, Ferrari unveiled the F80, the new flagship to replace the LaFerrari. But this time, the reaction was totally different. One longtime Ferrari fan wrote, "Now some people who've been given the opportunity to buy an F80 are actually stopping to think about it. That's like being offered a winning lottery ticket and asking if the font is correct." We've gone from, "I can't believe I'm lucky enough to be on this list," to, "I can't believe how much I have to pay just to be on this list." The romance has been replaced with spreadsheets. People aren't rushing to buy because they love the cars, they're hesitating because they're not sure if it's a good investment. That's devastating for a brand built on emotional appeal. The depreciation reality. Here's a brutal example. A $719,000 SF90 with only 185 miles on it sold for $579,000. That's a $140,000 loss, which works out to about $760 per mile driven. Such a steep drop with such low mileage is not normal for Ferrari. This never used to happen. The financial elite who once fought over exclusive models are now hesitating. Ferrari's response. Ferrari's now trying to pump the brakes. They're scaling back sales and cutting allocations to certain markets to artificially inflate demand again. But that doesn't make investors happy. They want growth and profits. So Ferrari's stuck. They're caught in a tug of war between satisfying investors who want growth and customers who want exclusivity. What went wrong? Here's my take on what happened. Vigna came in with a growth mindset from the tech industry. In tech, you scale fast, capture market share, disrupt everything. But Ferrari wasn't a tech company. It was a luxury brand built on scarcity and mystique. By increasing production, making SUVs, and pushing EVs that nobody asked for, Ferrari violated the core principle that made them special. They traded long-term brand health for short-term financial growth, and now they're paying the price. Cars are depreciating, customers are losing interest, the exclusivity that justified the premium prices is eroding. The EV mistake. The electric push was especially tone-deaf. Ferrari customers didn't want quiet electric cars, they wanted roaring engines. That's literally the point of a Ferrari. Vigna assumed the badge alone was powerful enough to carry them through any transition. He was wrong. Can they recover? The question now is whether Ferrari can recover without destroying what made them legendary. They're trying to scale back production and restore exclusivity, but once you've flooded the market, it's hard to create scarcity again. Plus, they've trained customers to think about Ferraris as investments rather than dream cars. When the financial calculation doesn't work, interest drops. To Vigna's credit, Ferrari's making more money than ever. But are they still Ferrari? When you can get a Ferrari SUV and the cars are depreciating like normal luxury vehicles, what's the point of the brand? The bigger lesson. This isn't just about Ferrari. It's about what happens when you chase growth at the expense of brand identity. Ferrari succeeded for decades by doing the opposite of what business schools teach. They limited supply, annoyed customers with rules, and turned down sales. It seemed crazy, but it worked because it created something money alone couldn't buy: exclusivity and mystique. The moment they tried to become a normal luxury car company focused on growth and volume, they started losing what made them special. You can't scale scarcity, you can't mass-produce exclusivity, and you can't force customers to want something they don't. My take? I think Ferrari made a massive strategic mistake. They had something unique and threw it away chasing short-term revenue growth. Will they survive? Of course, they're still Ferrari. But will they ever regain that untouchable status they had before? I doubt it. Once you've diluted a luxury brand, it's almost impossible to restore its mystique. What do you think? Would you buy a Ferrari SUV? Does a silent electric Ferrari make any sense to you? And do you think they can restore their exclusivity after flooding the market? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this breakdown showed you what happens when luxury brands chase growth over identity, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos exposing strategic mistakes by major brands. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.